Charlie Kirk has been killed. It is shocking. It is wrong. And it's part of a bigger problem that we kind of keep pretending that we don't have. And so I want to talk about solving political violence today. Political violence is not new in the United States of America. The question is, are we finally ready to stop it? I worry the answer is no, but we have pretty good information about how we would do it. Political violence doesn't mean you yelled at somebody at a rally, right? We're talking about using force or threats of force to scare, punish, or control for political reasons, using physical acts, assassination, bombing, armed plots, kidnappings, attacks meant to send a political message. And what the numbers say is that in the United States, over the last 10 to 15 years, the overwhelming political violence has come from the right. That's not my opinion. That's what the government and independent researchers have found. Anti-government militias, white supremacist violence, January 6th, which was Trump supporters. Again and again, the numbers show the same thing. Now, politically motivated killings are a slice of all murders. And since the mid 70s, there have been a few thousand terrorism deaths in the United States, less than 1% of all homicides. But that 1% really matter more than the number suggests, because those are attacks aimed at democracy itself. They're meant to scare people out of politics. They're meant to scare people out of activism. In some cases, they're meant to scare people out of even voting or expressing their political opinions. So why does it keep happening in the United States? For one, the country is flooded with guns. Every argument can turn deadly. The information space is toxic. Other countries have political disagreements, but if you get into a political disagreement with someone in a bar in France or London, you are significantly confident that there's not going to be an endpoint where one party pulls out a gun because they're angry, because most people don't have guns. It's just a mathematical reality. Propaganda then tells people, some people, that violence is patriotic. The president, back during his first term, Donald Trump, said that knocking people around and all of this stuff is okay to do. And so then you see election workers harassed, school board members harassed, judges harassed without any kind of hesitation, because too many people in the country have come to believe that that is valid and reasonable to do. And then you also have a lot of leaders who kind of wink at it. You know, they don't go, let's go shoot people, but they will talk about Second Amendment solutions. What do you think that means? They won't call out violence when their side does it. And so if leaders treat violence like a political tool, or at least don't denounce it, of course, their supporters are going to do the exact same thing. Now, other countries have faced political violence, and they've been able to pull back from this kind of dangerous edge. If you look at Northern Ireland, there were decades of shootings and bombings. And the Good Friday Agreement in 1998 did not just sign a peace, it changed the system. Police were rebuilt with oversight and community trust. People stopped seeing them as a political army, but rather more like neutral protectors. Violence went down significantly. So the lesson was really simple. When law enforcement is trusted, violence can lose some of the fuel. Not all of it, but some of the fuel. You look at Spain. They spent decades fighting the separatist group ETA, ETA. The state cracked down really hard on violence, but it gave the Basque region more political autonomy. And so they kind of marginalized ETA. And we have seen a dissolution of that group and a significant decline in violence. You've got examples in Germany. You've got examples in Denmark where they build these programs for extremists. They include counseling. They include jobs. We talk about how do people end up radicalized? Well, it's often a combination. You can combine sometimes bad economic circumstances, not feeling like active or productive participants of society, isolation, access to guns makes what they're able to do even worse. So you've got to start picking these different aspects and trying to work on each of them. And so the lesson is off-ramps. Prevention is not just police and prisons. You need more than that. Colombia is an interesting example where FARC fighters disarmed after a deal was signed. And there was investment in rural areas. Homicides dropped to very low levels. Not perfect, still problematic in Colombia, but a work in progress. And the thread in all of these cases can be so boring. It's political inclusion, it's credible policing, it's prevention programs, it's leaders who really clearly say no to violence, and it's made clear that all of society will shun you if you commit the violence. It can't be one side is kind of wink wink at me that like, yeah, violence is bad, but Trump goes, don't be too soft with the protesters. You've got to really make it clear that every single leader is saying no violence and society will ostracize you for the violence. There are better options than the violence. So what it would look like here is, first of all, I'm not going to say Republicans or Democrats, just every elected official needs to draw a very bright line. Violence is disqualifying, period. There's no excuses. There's no like half-hearted conditional condemnation. Just it is disqualifying. Second, police have to be credible, right? You've got to protect protest rights, but you also have to crack down on threats against officials and workers and all of it. And then number three, prevention has to be real. You've got to build exit programs at scale and fund communities that can sort of pull people back before they act on this stuff. And you really have to protect the front line of democracy, election workers, judges, school board members. We need to treat every threat against them seriously, and many are not taken seriously. And at some point, maybe you deal with the informational mess of social media and all of it. I don't know exactly how you do it, but you've got to consider that the lies and conspiracy theories certainly are not helping. They fuel anger, they fuel retaliation. Officials need to move quickly and with facts and shut down the scapegoating. So none of this is complicated stuff, but we don't seem to have the will to do it in the United States. Other countries treated political violence like a disease, and they said, we've got to cure this. The United States treats it more like entertainment. And one killing is too many. When violence becomes normal, we're in a real problematic position. So we can't let the extremists set the rules. We know what works. And I hate to say this, we could end hunger overnight if there was the political will to do it. We know what works. But we don't seem to have the political will in the United States. And if we don't have it to end political violence, then you've got to start asking the question, who benefits from political violence continuing? And that's a heretical question to be asking.